went for a bike ride today.
Oh yeah,
You've given
we
up
need
on
to get
bike riding.
starting our rides. We need to start our riding. Ever since I moved, but now we're finally relocated. We're back in Gilboa, so we can start riding my bike. You have to join us for bike rides, Dave. We're going to a desert
Get a bike.
for rides on bike. It's nice, relaxing way to really take the stress and pressure off. So, all right, guys. So let's start with our discussion. I just got our recording going. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the little video I sent.
And I didn't look at it. What did you say?
Yeah, well, I sent the email. Did you get my email? David, can you hear?
I did, but I
I've been
didn't.
checking.
Okay, yeah, I just checking.
There's yeah, I saw your email, but I didn't open the video.
Okay, no problem. Well, if you want, I can show you my little 14 minutes or maybe even less presentation, guys, if you give me a few seconds. Okay, let me share the screen. What I said, I do it a little bit briefly, although in the video is more explicit. I was talking to Aaron Schaefer, and Aaron, of course, he goes to Chabad with Reuven David, and he is a tour guide. He knows a lot about the Torah and geography, and pretty knowledgeable guy. A couple of times, I think he logged in classes. So, I was looking at, I started in my recording to us, and I always, I think I mentioned to you, I always like the underdog. I always like to think that Rav Elisha ben Avuya, for example, that common thinking is that he is a sellout and heretic and whatnot. But Rabbi Meir, his student, kept being his student until his death. And he respected him and he always hoped. So he had a very human attitude. And I'm finding that it was kind of, to me, a little unfair that Rabbi Ucha was not helped by other people and sort of like so easily, he's off the derech, we have nothing to do with him. So I feel bad about him. Just like also Terach, the son of Abraham Nahor, and Haran, the three brothers, the sons of Terach. Midrash says that also traditionally, typically, as I would think, Terach is a portrayed an idol worshiper, a bad guy, and Abraham is a starter of a new faith and all that. But when Isaac was born, it was a Brit Milah, and Terach was invited. The whole family was invited to come from the Babylon. And we can look at it in any ways. If it's just a nice story, how real or not real, but it's just nice that our history relates to us some pearls, some elements of kindness and forgiveness and getting along. That the father comes to the bris of his grandson. So it's Terach who left Ur Kasdim, not Abraham. So eventually Terach didn't follow to Canaan, Abraham did, but still I see a lot. I tend to see good in people when sometimes we don't see good in people. And then so when we came to Amalek, I happen to have a two Torahs, one Art Scroll edition, which is typically what Americans read. And then I have another one that my wife actually gave me as a present when we met. And that's a Torah edition by 5 books by Chief Rabbi of British Empire, Dr. Hertz. Pentateuch and Haftarah.
That one.
You have that, yeah. And it's also, it's different edition, but what I found this weekend, because now the weekly Parshayot going through the area where, the history of our forefathers, history of Jacob, history of Esau. And here's a map on the screen. So when Jews left, I'm sorry? So when Jews left Egypt, and of course, when I talked to Aaron said, listen, there's many maps, many opinions, who knows if Sinai is real in the south, Sinai over here somewhere. That's fine. Nobody knows. But I'll just pick one. I mean, for me, one is good enough. One is as good as any. And if I go by this, so from Ramses is northern Egypt, they keep here crossing sea. They come to the area which is Rephidim. And Rephidim is in the first year of Exodus, not too far from the Sinai Peninsula. Amalek attacks them. The Torah says a battle with Amalek over there was going on the whole day. You know, the famous thing when Moshe had his hands up, Aaron and Hur has to support his hands. It's not a little skirmish with the 5 bandits coming in and just shooting a couple of bullets. That's a big battle lasting all day. That means it was a big group of Amalekites attacking the Jews, not a small 5 hooligans, you know. So how did Amalekites made it here? And later on, 39 years later, after Sinai, moving north and coming north, trying to go into the Israel, and then being turned around right in this area, in the area of Kadesh Barnea, area of Kadesh, and even that is questionable. Nobody knows exactly Kadesh Barnea, the same as Kadesh today. Doesn't matter to me. But this area in the south is blocked by Edom, and Edom is a seer, is an Esau. And God gave this territory to the Esau. And he said to Israel, when you come up, and Edom, of course, says, no, I'll never let you pass. Get out of here. You bad guys, you're descendant of Jacob. No soup to you. God said, listen, don't fight them. They're not nice guys. They're mean, but they are brothers. They're family. Just don't get involved. Israel went around Moab, peacefully as much as they could. Ultimately, Jericho crossed over in this territory. So Edom, it's Esau, right here, not too far from Eilat, actually. Right, Eilat, the north of Eilat, we sit in the Dead Sea, go to the beach, across there towards the Jordan. That's roughly a little bit south of towards Edom. Amalek attacked them over here, which is approximately 400 kilometers away. This area of Sinai is mostly desert.
Doesn't make sense.
There's not too many pastures. So when I talked to Aaron a little bit, Aaron, he said, well, they are Bedouins, they're nomads, they travel all the time. But you know, if you're sitting here, the 4 hours, it's a distance from roughly, let's say, from Eilat to Tel Aviv or Beersheba to Haifa. You don't go from Beersheba to Haifa overnight for a couple of hours, rate on the bank, and then come back at night back to Beersheba. Usually, it's a something much more than just a small rate. And besides, if you're moving your sheep along from one pasture to another pasture, as Bedouins do today, you usually go to a greener pasture. You don't go to the desert where there's no grass. All this area is basically desert. There's a couple of oases. Yeah, there's some green.
When exactly was Amalek supposed to have attacked the Jews?
Amalek attacked the Jews in the first year of Exodus, a little bit before Sinai, a little before the Torah was given. And then later on, that moving
towards it doesn't make any sense though, unless they were, like he said, the nomadic tribes and they had wandered all the way south.
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, like, okay, according to the Torah, let's say I'm just making a summary. We can discuss it in a minute when I'll wrap it up in a couple of minutes. So Amalek attacked him here. That's from the Torah. We're just reading from the Torah. Amalek attacked, and we all know the story. What happened? How was the battle? Joshua went to fight them. Moshe is praying. Okay, that happens here. 39 years later, when we read in Numbers, by the end of Numbers, where 39 years later, almost in the last year, when Jews going through Edom, Moab, Og, all these kings and all these wars coming in the century in the last year. Until then, it was really basically mostly peaceful march. So 39 years of nothing, no records in Torah. The first year full of events, the last year full of events, in between nothing. So is Amalek over here? As Reuben said, doesn't make sense. So if I now show you another slide, let me just show this slide. Here it is. Here is a slide. Terach, here's the kids. Abraham, Haran, and Nahor. Abraham with Sarah has Hagar. and then Haran has Milcah, and then Isaac, Isaac, the son of Sarah and Abraham, and they have two kids, Yaakov and Esau. Esau, now forget about now everybody else. We know the story of Yaakov, his 4 wives, and this is all now our history. But Esau, we don't know usually that much, but Esau, let me go to this chart. This is Abraham, Hagar, and Sarah, Isaac, Yaakov and Esau, brothers. Esau has 3 wives, Besamad, Ada, and Ahalibama. 3 wives. The first one, Besama, is a daughter of Ishmael. And from then, these people, they're basically in a southeastern portion of Sinai. Some people say in Saudi Arabia, whatever. Last time, David made very good presentation of the history of Arabs, very briefly. So anyway, whether the Arabs or not Arabs doesn't matter right now. It's just one wife. Second wife, Ada. From her came Ada. She bore to Esau Eliphaz, and Oholibama born these 3 guys, Yeshush, Yalam, and Korach. And there's some controversy. There's a lot of incest and nasty things are going with this family of Seir and Elon and Hittite. Brothers are sleeping with mothers, with sisters, so it's a horrible thing. Never mind. That's a product. That lady is a product of all this incestual relationship. Ada and Esau have a child. They have Eliphaz. Eliphaz has several kids, and he also marries Timnah. Timnah became his concubine. She's a daughter of she is a daughter of the one of the Horites. So they marry as a concubine, and then Midrash says, well, she wanted to be part of Abrahamic family. Well, if I can't be with Abraham and Jacob, at least let me go to Esau's family as close as I can get there. So Eliphaz is a product of that union. Amalek is a son of Eliphaz. Amalek, Midrash says, the son of Eliphaz. Eliphaz, a son of Esau. You would think he'll have ancestral hatred against Yaakov. In fact, Midrash says, when Yaakov was going to Lavan, along the way, Esau sent his son Eliphaz to kill Yaakov. Instead of, he couldn't raise his hand to kill Yaakov because he was raised by Yaakov as a so he is a grandson of, I'm sorry, of Yaakov. Yaakov, not Isaac, not Yaakov, raised Eliphaz as a grandkid. They have a very good relationship. So in other words, even though he's not portrayed in Midrash as really nice, Puritan, clear kid, but he, Rashi says, from all these Esau descendants, was the better one. He was the better one. He got some goodness in him from Isaac. And that's why he couldn't kill Yaakov. So Yaakov says, listen, in order for you to fulfill your father's charter to kill me, you can rob me. Take all my stuff. And when you rob the person, it's like you kill him. So that's big. But Amalek is a son of Eliphaz. So in a family like that, is a kid who is supposed to be Eliphaz, not such a bad kid, and his son being raised by Isaac, it's hard to imagine that Amalek is such a bad person. We traditionally made to believe that Amalek wiped his memory from under the heaven. He is bad. I'm not going to even repeat the way saying, is it spiritual point? Is it mental point? Is it physical point? Does Amalek exist now? Doesn't exist? Is it Amalek part of our internal psychology? Or is Amalek something real? Does not matter. What matters is that Amalek is not such a bad person according to this history. He cannot be. He can't be cutthroat, nasty guy if he was raised by Isaac, his grandfather. But then I'm looking at this now from this book Reuven just mentioned for Hasidus edition. I happened to look on page 55 yesterday. I went to, okay, hold on, go back here. This is just blew my mind. Where is it? I can see it here, but I'll read it to you. I'll read it to you from page 55. 51. It says, and this is Genesis 14, verse 7. That's what the battle. And they turned back and came to En Mishpat, the same as Kadesh, and small all the country of Amalekites, and also Amorites, blah, 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 blah. The commentary here says, all the country of Amalekites, more accurately, the field of Amalekites, a nomad people living between Palestine and Egypt, and later on attempting to prevent the Israelites from entering the peninsula of Sinai. The phrase, all the country of Amalekites, must be understood to mean the country afterwards named after Amalekites. Midrash by Rashi. Esau's grandson was named after a chieftain, Amalek, who had founded the Amalekites people, according to Nachmanides. Ramban. So if that's the case, I almost now done with that. Let me just go back to here. If that's the case, where's my slide? Oh yeah. And it kind of, to me, it just puts Torah alive in front of my eyes. That route, Amalekites here, to me, that's Amalekite, that tribe who existed all along. And this tribe knew about Jews in Egypt, and he knew about their evolution towards God. And they hated everything that has to do with morality. These people are barbarian. These people are a nasty tribe, the worst of the worst. They're probably even worse than Egyptians. They attacked Jews just for sheer hatred, but not because of the ancestral hatred of the Esau to Jacob. That portion happened 39 years later when Jews came to Edom, and that Edom expressed their dislike of the Jews because of ancestral hate and dislike, but not really to the point of the conflict, I'm going to wipe you out, I'm going to kill you all. So that Amalek, if this Amalek over here was the same Amalek who was part of Esau, of Edom, and somehow chipped away the 3 million Jews coming out, and Esau's maybe 1 million people, maybe half of them or a third of them, 300,000 moved from here down here and later attacked the Jews, would be strange. In other words, why would only a portion of Esau's descendants hate the Jews to the point to kill them with no reason? And the rest of them, the bulk of Esau, still here, relatively peacefully went along. Don't go through our territory, but just keep going. No much hatred. That is what I just wanted to share with you guys. It's like an interesting historical situation. Of course, Aaron Schaffer told me, well, it's all a bunch of baloney left. You know, who knows if this map is right? Who knows where Sinai was? Who knows the years? All this. Many rabbis, maybe joggers makes all sorts of maps, but to me, it's not good enough in information. To me, I'm picking up on a particular one of probably many possible theories. I don't know how this theory on this map is right and authentical. I don't know. But to me, it sends a message. And I mentioned earlier, relation between Terach and Abraham. Terach, in my eyes, not such a bad man. He is a guy who loved his son. He's a guy who took his son out of Babel. And maybe he didn't go with him all the way to Canaan, but he had good intentions and a good heart. Just like Elisha ben Avuya wasn't such a bad guy. And I also comes to mind 24,000 disciples, students of Rabbi Akiva that all died because they all knew Torah inside out, and yet they didn't have kindness to love each other. It was like they are
respect.
The no respect. And I think that's why we have to look. This is just my own message to me. We have to look this story. We have to understand, not fanatically, they take something, well, that's what it is, and I don't care for any other opinion. But we have to take in everything, saying, well, wait a minute, is it really possible that this guy's so bad? Doesn't he have something good in him or her that we can reach out and understand? And if it was really that Amalek, how come his brothers and cousins who live nearby didn't reach out? Remember the story of David HaMelech? David HaMelech also was one of the chip outs. His father had the children from other marriage. And they also kind of like, when the Shmuel came to anoint him, they say, oh, do you have another kid? Oh, David? Oh, he's in the field. Never mind him. It's also somebody has a problem, and instead of reaching out to him and trying to make him more comfortable, kick him out. So it's our tendency, which I think keeps us Jews separate for centuries, instead of trying to look at the goodness in us. And to me, that's just illustration of the possibility that God sends the message: wake up, guys! Don't be so harsh. Find the good portion. That's basically what I want to talk about. I recorded that in that video that I attached to emails. So I'm going to stop share and open it. I took a little bit more than 14 minutes, about 23 minutes. So, but all right, guys. So any comments, any thoughts about it? I don't know. That was the topic of the kickoff topic of today.
Well, how did that connect into being nicer to each other? The whole thing with Amalek.
It tells you that when you say that somebody is so bad, you have to think twice. Do you really know enough about that person? Maybe that person is just misrepresentation. He actually not so bad. Maybe it's not even the same person. So we have to give it the benefit of the doubt. Do I really know? How oftentimes people say, don't talk to this person. He's so bad, he's stealing from this. Oh yeah, I'm not talking to him. And then you find out that the person was lashon hara. The person just says something wrong, and you just took it as a face value, and you don't like this person because somebody told you he's bad, and maybe he's not bad. So here's a story. Amalek, everybody thinks, I until now, all my life, I thought Amalek is a really nasty guy. We have to wipe him out.
God said to wipe them out.
But that's not Amalek, the grandson of Esau. It's Amalek, it's entirely different people. His father, Eliphaz, happened to pick that name, according to Midrash. It might not be a true story, but according to Midrash, his father picked the name Amalek because his father maybe was like, listen, this is nice. This is nice name, Amalek. I call my kid Amalek. He'll be strong and tough and warrior and guns and machine guns and and all that. So it's not the same Amalek. Amalek is our relative. He's a son of Eliphaz.
Yeah, it's possible. And just like a lot of the midrashim say, so and so, is incestuous with this one because it's the same name. It could be a different person. Who knows?
Could be a different person. But in this case, I dug some evidence that I can't say I know more than Aaron Schaefer, because Aaron is much more knowledgeable than me, and he's a tour guide. He knows about. But so far, I know we had some discussion. I exchanged several WhatsApps with Aaron, and he helped me clarify something. But we got to the point that I didn't get the closing message from Aaron to prove to me. Basically, Aaron says, "Left, there are many stories in Midrash. This is one of them. Don't believe them all," and I don't believe them all. But he did not give me a convincing message that Esau indeed had a grandson, Amalek, who hated. So in other words, he didn't close the proof that I always believed for all my life that I knew who Amalek was. Now I'm not so sure after I just took the time to understand.
Okay.
David?
Yeah. So you said you got to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Well, yeah, I agree with you. The question is, when do you give them the benefit of the doubt? When they are, with their tribe, with their family, sitting peacefully in their tent, having lunch or dinner, or roaming the fields with their sheep or cattle, peacefully, or once they are at war with you and you have their sword aimed at your neck. So when do you give them the benefit of the doubt?
I agree. I think you have to kill them when they attack. You have to defend yourself.
Right. Some of the things that you say, about trying to find the good in people, which is okay in itself, in the essence of the thing, trying to find good in people. I don't find that to be like a problem. It's not a problem, but I think that that's a little bit of not really trying to understand where the Torah is coming from, because the Torah is coming from a reality and the traditions that do not, a reality that the Jewish people doesn't exist in anymore, and I think we should look, especially we can do that here in Israel because and in Beersheba because we have neighbors or Bedouins, and they still live the traditions of the desert, and you can see that they are wiping out each other within their own tribe or within the tribe of the brother, what they call a chamula, right? So you have two chamulas. Those two chamulas could be one of the one brother, and then the other chamula is started by the other brother, and their kids and their grandchildren, they can definitely go to war with each other over over all sorts of things, whether it's you know having to do something with the wrong girl, or whether it's sometimes they start a cycle of violence for reasons that we find unbelievable. Two kids at school and one kid, like 7 year olds, okay, 8 year old kids, third grade, and one kid sent something to the other kid, and the other kid went to his dad, and his dad says, "Oh, that's what he told you," and he goes and he kills the father.
Oh,
And the next thing you know, you have a cycle of vengeance.
yeah,
It happens like in 15 seconds. That's all it takes.
horrible. Yeah,
And that's in the same family.
yeah.
So I think that, we have to remember that the Torah and all the stories that we have from our ancestors being basically desert people, nomadic people, especially our Avot, Avram, Isaac, Jacob, and their children.
They were like
Uh,
Arabs.
what?
They were like Arabs in a way.
Yeah, it could absolutely be that a group from one family. Okay, so they have the same grandfather or the same great grandfather. It doesn't mean they cannot go to war with one another for some reason that we wouldn't do it today. It
But
would seem
even
completely it would be completely normal
Arab
in those
tribes were
times
always
and
fighting each
in that
other.
tradition.
well, that's absolutely true. I couldn't agree with you more of it. You're right. But I'm saying, even within us, when I thought about it, it's mind-boggling. Think of this, guys. Jews are approximately, say, 15 million in the world. There's 8 billion people. So we represent 0.1%, right? 0.1%. Just imagine it was a big hall with on a stadium, 100,000 people in the stadium, and they have different opinions. And then we have one group which we have affinity to each other. There's from a 100,000 people, we have what would be 1%. It will be what 1,000. It's 100. 100 guys are Jews, and 100,000 in the stadium not Jews, and they argue. Yeah. And 100 Jews argue among themselves. They have Hasidim and they have Magnim, and we.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, what do you expect all Jews to think the same way just because we're Jews?
No, I don't expect them to think this way. I know,
Do you
but
think all Japanese think the same? You
no,
have
no.
Christian,
Also, no.
you have Buddhist Japanese, you have Christian Japanese, you have communist Japanese, you have capitalist Japanese, you have Yakuza, you have non-Yakuza, you
I
have Zen Buddhists, you have Shintoists, which is the native religion of the
well,
Japanese.
I'm not saying, I'm not, yeah, I agree with it 100%. I agree that I'm not against Hasidim and Mignagnim and religious and
No, it's
not at all.
a nation is determined by a group of people. Well, usually it's a large group of people that they speak the same language. They usually pray to the same god or gods. They have a history of how I would call that a cultural evolution. They usually have their cultural codes or conventions, okay, and they live on a in a defined piece of land, okay, and they adhere to the same rules and all that. So that would be a nation, and also have they're also coming from the same kind some kind of ethnic background. So they come from a specific region and not from a different region. Blah blah blah. Okay, that's what makes a nation. But a
I
nation is made up of individuals.
Yeah, I'm not against that at all. And that's not
We
my
all
point.
think differently, and
Yeah, that's
we
not
all
I
think differently,
yeah,
and there's no
that's
problem with that.
that's not my problem. I don't have problems at all. I agree. I don't expect Hasidim to go by the rights of Mignagnim and vice versa. Everybody has their own minhag, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not critical. What I'm saying is I've seen personally in the families, three brothers and four sisters, and mother and father and cousins, they don't talk each other. They said, don't invite them for dinner because this guy has such a different view. I want to have nothing to do with him. That's what bothers me.
Well, good for
It
you.
bothers me. It bothers me. It bothers me when
Okay,
my son or my
but
brother or my somebody would consider me not. I mean, I can disagree. I think I gave you an example one time when my kids asked me what I think, and I tend to be more to the right as far as my political views. I don't talk about my political views very often, but I tend to be to the right. And when they ask me who I'm going to vote for, of course, if I would say it was for Trump, they immediately would open the door, kick me out, and never want to talk to me again because all my family, mostly typical American Jews, very liberal. And I don't blame them for that. That's just their views. But what the point is, I said the best candidate I like is Bernie Sanders. Now, since then, I changed my opinion a little bit after I learned about his view on Israel. But until that point, and they say, Bernie Sanders? They said, Dad, this is a guy that you like the most? I said, to be honest with you guys, that's the guys I would like to have to invite for dinner. I can see fishing together. I want to see a bicycle ride with him. I would like to hear this guy. And they said, but do I agree with him? I said, not at all. I have no points of commonality of agreeing politically, 180 degrees. But I said, but he wants to have free education. He wants to have free medical care. He wants everything free. I cannot argue with that. I personally don't think it's possible and sustainable. He's in a dreamland. He lives on the moon. But he's coming, my feeling is he's coming because he really feels that people should have goodness toward each other. If somebody is sick, we should help him and not charge him. Somebody wants to get educated, don't charge. His intentions are good. It's just implementation is not something I agree. But I'm not going to tell him I will never want to talk to this guy. I'm going to cross the street when he's walking down the road because he's such a low individual. His political views so wacky. I have nothing to do with him. And I see that in families, that people will have different views, political views, religious views, and families split apart. To me, what Torah teaches in this example with Amalek, Rabbi Avuya ben Elisha ben Avuya, that's what brings in me. It just hurts me. I feel bad when I see people suffer. Good people who should love each other because they happen to not share the same political view or same religious ideology.
Well, we've been doing this Zoom videos for like what?
Couple of years
A
now.
year and a half?
Yeah.
I don't know. How long have I been doing this? Like a
Couple
year?
of years ago. You and I started it, remember?
A year and a oh yeah, well we started it.
You forgot?
Yeah, that's my dementia.
Then Ruben added in
46
and
years
added
old.
more energy to it.
So this is what's been bothering you from day one.
Yeah. Injustice in the world bothers me. Just
because
bothers me.
okay, this is this has nothing to do with Torah and nothing to do with Judaism. It's just a different topic.
I think you're right.
It's a different topic.
Yeah.
It's a social thing. It's also, I think, if there's one thing that I can somehow relate your problem to Judaism is to maybe what Masechet Avot is talking about. I don't remember exactly in what chapters or pages or what, but you know, there's like people talk about the Yetzer, how to overcome your bad urges, your
Yeah.
Yetzer Hara. And yeah, one of the things is maybe, you know, one of the aspects of Yetzer Hara is that people believe that they are totally 100% right, and the other one is totally 100% wrong. and because of that, he is immoral, and I am moral. So righteousness is with me, and he is evil. I'm good, and he's evil, basically,
exactly.
because thinking otherwise than me. This is exactly what happens today with the woke left. They just full of hate, full of, I would say, classic Marxist hate towards everything. And
if you don't agree with me, you should be locked up.
Yeah, you're canceled. I'm going to cancel you. I'm going to ban you from Twitter. Oh no, not from Twitter. I'm sorry. I'm going to think like you. It's and there is no, like, the monolithic thinking is a very, unfortunately, is a very common human trait.
Why was the temple? Why the second temple was destroyed? Because of Sinat Chinam.
Yeah.
24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died because everyone was like, I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you, you're nothing, I'm everything. It's a failing inside us, and a lot of it, I think, is, I call it naivety. Naivety, I said,
when I look at us, us, the Jewish people, and our Torah and our Halacha, and the way we are with each other, and the way we have disagreements on the Halacha, and on all the different groups that we have within the religion, I tend to look at that. I don't know, but it's like when you have a star, and you have the core of the star, and in the core of the star, what happens is that you have this physical process, right, of atoms, of like what happens in the sun, right? You have helium and what is the other thing? Maiman.
You have hydrogen that
Hydrogen?
it fuses into helium.
Right. They come together. It creates like a nuclear fusion, right?
Yeah.
A nuclear fusion, and that's what makes the sun burn. So how I see, like, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam is that Christianity and Islam is the fire outside, and Judaism is the core. This is why it's such a balagan, because in the core, that's the most process. It's like that's the hottest spot of the star, and this is where all the fire comes from. And the more you go away from the core, the less you understand what's going on within the core. And because we are the core, we are like that.
Yeah, I know what you're
And
saying.
really, when you look at how Christianity has developed in its theology and in its thinking, and you see how Islam has developed in its theology and its philosophy, you understand. And you look at us, Jews, the religion that gave sort of a birth. Christianity actually comes from Judaism, and Islam was created a lot as inspired by Judaism, because it was created. Wait a minute, just 20 seconds. Because it was created as a reaction to Christianity. It's looks a lot like Judaism, its theology and its philosophy, but it doesn't. These both religions are very monolithic.
We're going to be knocked out in 5 seconds. We see you guys. Great point. But see you next Tuesday at 8.